British people voted to leave Europe, and I agree the will of the people should prevail. I accept right now there is no widespread appetite to rethink. But the people voted without knowledge of the terms of Brexit. As these terms become clear, it is their right to change their mind. Our mission is to persuade them to do so. What was unfortunately only dim in our sight before the referendum is now in plain sight. The road we're going down is not simply hard Brexit. It is now Brexit at any cost. Our challenge is to expose relentlessly what that cost is, to show how the decision was based on imperfect knowledge, which will now become informed knowledge, to calculate in easy-to-understand ways how proceeding will cause real damage to our country, and to build support for finding a way out from the present rush over the cliff's edge. I don't know if we can succeed, but I do know we will suffer a rancorous verdict from future generations if we don't try. How hideously in this debate is the mantle of patriotism abused. We do not argue for Britain in Europe because we are citizens of nowhere. We argue for it precisely because we are proud citizens of this country, Britain, who believe that in the 21st century we should maintain our partnership with the biggest political union, the largest commercial market on our doorstep, not in diminution of our national interest, but in satisfaction of it. Consider for a moment the surreal situation in which our nation finds itself. I make no personal criticism of the Prime Minister or the government. I know the Prime Minister is someone who cares about our country, who's trying to do the right thing as she sees it, and I know how demanding the job of leadership is. But just consider, 9 months ago, both she and the Chancellor were telling us that leaving would be bad for the country, its economy, its security, its place in the world. Today, it is apparently a once-in-a-generation opportunity for greatness. 7 months ago, after the referendum result, the Chancellor was telling us that leaving the single market would be, and I quote, catastrophic. Now it appears we will leave the single market and the customs union, and he is very optimistic. 2 years ago, the Foreign Secretary was emphatically in favour of the single market. Now ditching it is brilliant. The Prime Minister says she wants Britain to be a great open trading nation. Our first step in this endeavour? To leave the largest free trading bloc in the world. She wants Britain to be a bridge between the European Union and the United States of America. How to begin this worthy undertaking to get out of Europe, thus leaving us with no locus on the terrain where the bridge must be constructed. We're told that it's high time that our capitalism became fairer. And how do we start laying the foundation for such a noble cause? By threatening Europe with a move to a low-tax, light-regulation economy, the antithesis of that cause. This jumble of contradictions shows that the Prime Minister and government are not masters of this situation. They're not driving this bus, they're being driven. And as we pass each milestone, so the landscape in which we are operating changes, not because we willed the change, but because this is the direction in which the bus is travelling.
Tony Blair is an exceptional politician. He did many things in his time of office that previous Labour governments were simply not able to do, even if they could get into government. That's a given. Today's speech reflects that talent. The problem is, Tony Blair wants this speech to mark a starting point in which disaffected Remainers, disaffected people with the process that we're in at the moment can come together and start to shout against the May administration? He is the wrong person to be doing this.
Well, yes. I mean, you can certainly see that argument. You can see that argument already in the rebuttal. We've already got people talking about the dodgy dossier, the Iraq war, 45 minutes.
Yep. So the noise is drowning it out.
Well, the question is, who is this aimed at? And if you think this is aimed at people who are determined to leave the European Union, it's not going to work. It may well not work with people who are wobbly in the middle. It may be that this is aimed at people who are deeply unhappy about the decision to leave but don't know what to do about it. And to them, it's possible this message cuts through. I don't know. A lot of them, obviously, are also very angry with him. So he may be the wrong person, but his argument might well be, who else is there? Who else is making this argument?
And it was a quality argument. You look at the speech. It's a well thought out, neatly delivered sort of message.
Yeah.
We're not getting that elsewhere. So from that point of view, at least somebody with a little sort of political talent is able to make this point.
Yes, I mean, almost one of the light notes in this speech was the drive-by shooting of the current Labour Party, who he said are partly responsible for Brexit. I can't remember his exact phrase, but essentially his implication was they're in a total mess. They can't do this. So yes, it was. I mean, as you say, it was tightly argued. There was a case against the position. All of the things that we come to expect from somebody who won 3 elections with landslides.
Rob, give me a clinic on London politics. I was just able to see the play The House, or This House rather, at the Garrick Theatre, which is about Thatcher politics, and frankly, I only got about a third of the jokes. Is Tony Blair a representative of the Labour Party after Mr. Corbyn, or is the new Labour Party a year or 5 years down the road something you and Mr. Blair don't know?
I don't think anybody knows what the future of the Labour Party is. I don't think that Tony Blair is going to be coming back as leader, though there's a very, very small section of people who would really like that. I think he's now speaking for himself. I mean, he's clear, Tom, that the Labour Party don't want him. Earlier this week, I tried to get the Labour Party to offer a criticism of Theresa May's NATO position after remarks that the US Secretary of Defence made, and Jeremy Corbyn's office came back to me and said we don't really want to get involved in that one. They put out a rebuttal on Blair while he was speaking.
Yeah.
So they really don't like him. They're not sure about the Prime Minister, but they really don't like Tony Blair.